Lewis, nice to have you with us. And our thanks to Westside Decorating Center for sponsoring our program. Westside Decorating Center, 5789 State Street in Saginaw. With everything you need for home decorating, you're going to find it at Westside Decorating Center. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, we'll have open phones for that hour. At 11 o'clock, we'll learn about the Great Lakes Bay Health Centers from some guests. But for this hour, it's ology time. I can't call him, well, I can still call him a Gershwinologist, but I've decided just to drop that and just call him the ologist because he's got more than one ologies now. He is the one and only Kevin Cole.
God, I hope there's only one of me, really.
Yeah, multiple ologies, though. I mean,
yes.
You know, you got of course, Gershwinologist, which was the key fundamental ology.
Yes.
Now you have the Hamlishology.
That is true.
You going to do Berlin soon?
Well, it could happen. I think I might do the Coleology.
Well, actually, you are.
That's true.
We should talk about that. We should talk about that in a bit. But Kevin's here because his calendar broke, and he thinks it's Christmas. Because every Christmas at Chet's Corner Bar in Bay City, you find Kevin at the piano one night, for a couple of nights in a row, actually. But you find him at the piano doing his thing at the holidays. Well, Kevin doesn't know how to stay away from the piano. So he's decided it's Christmas in July, sort of.
Yeah. It came to me about a week after I did last year's Jingle Beers, as we call it, at Chet's. And I thought, gosh, we have to wait a whole year to do this again. And the sing-along format at there, it just brings people together. There's such a sense of community, and it's so much fun. And
I've been in there, and the place has been packed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to get a seat, folks, you got to get there hours before it starts.
So I thought to myself, I wonder if Matt Chowinski, the owner, would be game to try one like a Christmas in July. So it's Jingle Beers in July, which takes place tomorrow from 3 p.m. till 10 p.m. So you get 7 hours of sing-along and piano solos, and I have a few guest people coming in to give me a break. And I'll just say that the atmosphere and the decor at Chet's is like if Jimmy Buffett owned Bronner's. Okay? So there's going to be a mix of tropical and beach and Christmas, and Santa Claus is making an appearance in Bermuda shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. So you can find out early if you're on the nice or naughty list and do something about it. And we're going to have tropical drink specials, but it's just going to be a heck of a lot of fun. And it is indoors at Chet's. We thought about outdoors, but with weather and humidity, we said, no, let's be an air-conditioned splendor.
Besides the uprights in there.
Yeah, and my piano, which is my piano.
I was going to say, there's history to that piano, isn't there?
Yeah, I gave it to Chet's about 5-6 years ago. It was at my parents', and then after my dad passed and I moved back home, I said, well, what am I going to do? I got a piano with me that I brought from Chicago, a small Steinway upright, and I thought, I don't want 2 pianos in the house. So I asked Matt, I said, what would you think about, instead of me always bringing a keyboard, if I gave you the piano I started on? It fits the saloon setting really well.
It's an upright.
Yeah, it's over 100 years old. And so there it's living its retirement. But it's just a precursor for me living my retirement playing at Chet's. And there'll be a spittoon next to me and peanuts on the floor. And you can just put a quarter in and I'll play you a tune. I mean, I can see it now.
You're cheap.
Well, that's true. But that's my 401k. Will be taking requests.
That's a lot of quarters.
Yeah. But anyway, we have songbooks printed up. And what's different about this songbook is that only a third is Christmas songs. The rest are pop, rock, Broadway, contemporary, country, you name it. So I'm going to mix it up. It's not just going to be Christmas songs, but it should be a heck of a lot of fun. And like I said, if anyone doesn't know where Chet's Corner Bar is, it's in Bay City on the corner of Madison and 21st. Actual address is 1001 South Madison. come early. Even though I start at 3, people start coming at 1:30 to get a seat because there are tables set up and lots of chairs. And if you do get there and it's busy, go grab a bite to eat and come back because, there's always shifts. People come for an hour or two and then they leave. But I'm just looking forward to see how many people do show up for something different like this, because I've never heard of anyone trying to do a Christmas sing-along in July, to my knowledge.
Only Kevin Cole.
Yeah, why not?
Well, we'll come back to it. But
Sure.
again, folks, it's tomorrow from 3 to 10 at Chet's Corner Bar, 1001 South Madison in Bay City. Kevin's history, to say that Kevin is a genius at the piano is an understatement. And you have finally managed to, I don't know if put it down on paper is the right way to phrase it, but you have finally managed to put together a history of Cole.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been wanting to do this for a while because in my solo concerts, I'll tell a few stories about, how I played for Irving Berlin or worked with Harold Arlen and all these great songwriters, but I've never put it all together in one show. And I thought, well, I might as well do it now because, I don't want to be, 90 years old and like Irving Caesar. Yeah, we wrote Swanee in 10 minutes,
No, let me correct you.
Yeah.
You do want to be at least 90 years old,
yeah.
but you don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. People say, yeah. Well, and plus now, while the memory's good and the stories are still fresh, so I put together this one-man show. And I had a goal because a friend of mine has influence with the bookings at one of Michael Feinstein's clubs. And this one's in Carmel, Indiana at the Hotel Carmichael, named after Hokie Carmichael. And it's a beautiful hotel. The whole theme of the hotel is all Great American Songbook. The room that Michael has there.
Art Deco type?
A little bit, but not over the top.
Yeah.
Just classy. And the rooms are beautiful. I got to stay there for 2 nights. But the club, the Michael's club there, seats about, about 180, I believe. And it's just the perfect setting.
Intimate.
Very intimate. So format-wise, they want a show that's between 70 and 75 minutes. And my show clocked out at 72 minutes. So it's perfect for the cabaret setting. And I did.
At least 3 minutes for an encore.
Well, true. I didn't do one, though. I left them hanging a little bit, wanting more. But the show, I said, I have to come up with a title for this. And so finally it clicked. It took me a while, but finally it clicked. And the title is Have Fingers, Will Travel, My Unbelievable Songbook Journey.
Cool.
And in it, I start, right at the top with playing for Irving Berlin. And let's see if I can name everybody. Irving Berlin, Harold Arlen, E.Y. Harburg, the lyricist from Wizard of Oz and countless songs. Hugh Martin gave us Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Marvin Hamlish, Jerome Kern's daughter, Betty Kern, because Jerome Kern had passed in 45, but I share his birthday, so there's a little mystique there.
And, of course, you played for the Gershwin family.
Right, and the Gershwin family. And then, of course, Ed Jablonski from Bay City is the kind of the connective tissue to almost all these people.
I hold the thought, and we'll come back and talk more with Kevin Cole here on the Art Lewis Show for this Friday morning. Kevin, though, tomorrow, Jingle Beers in July at Chet's Corner Bar. We'll tell you more about it, of course, as we go on this morning. I want to talk for a minute about Quick Lane Freeland on the McDonald Ford property. As you probably know, if you've been sniffing lately, allergies have not been good. And Quick Lane in Freeland wants to keep you healthy while you drive. And they have a product called FrigiFresh. It's a hospital-grade disinfectant. They put it in your air conditioning, and you drive down the road without allergies. And if you want to know more about it, here's John from Quick Lane to tell you.
FrigiFresh. Hi.
And don't forget, while you're there at Quick Lane Freeland, stop into McDonald Ford. You're on the same property. And look over the exciting lineup of new Fords waiting for you at McDonald Ford. They stand ready to put you in the car of your dreams today. Now, remember these two names, Quick Lane and McDonald Ford in Freeland. They stand together to serve all of your automotive needs.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring.
Hi, we're back with you. Kevin Cole with us in studio. We'll come back to his Jingle Beers in July at Chet's Corner tomorrow, but talking about some of the things he's up to these days, and one of them is a show he's put together, and it's a little bit of history of Kevin's music. Have Fingers Will Travel. And, so you've done it now only once, right?
Just once. June 5th I did it, and my cohort in crime, Sylvia McNair, was there, and I'm so glad because she'd done a lot of the shows in the cabaret setting, and so she could tell me if the pacing was right, am I talking too much, do the selections work, and so afterwards, she looked at me and she goes, 72 minutes, perfect. Yeah. So I mean,
that's without a break. Then 72 minutes. There's no intermission.
Right, just straight through. But so it was so funny because she was timing it. But I'm so glad. And she said, no, there were no lags. And she said it's entertaining, it's touching. She says it's just delightful.
Well, the other thing about it, if I understand the way you've laid this out, the thing I would like about it is, as much as I respect you for Gershwin and all of that, and how much you are attached to Gershwin. It's nice to hear about all these other people.
Yeah.
These other styles of music.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I talk about Arlen, I play my own arrangement. They're all my own arrangements, but I play The Man That Got Away, which he particularly liked the way I played that, which normally is not a piano solo.
Now, is this a solo concert?
Yes.
It's a one-man show.
One-man show. The only thing I did with this one is Don Farrell, who's a performer and one of the guys that does a lot of the shows at that club, at Feinstein's Club. There's a song that I wrote with Yip Harburg. It's one of the last songs he wrote. He handed me a lyric. I tell the story, and it was intended for Sinatra, and of course that never happened. And I tried to get it to Tony Bennett, and that didn't happen. So here is the song that I wrote with one of the great lyricists of all time. And normally, the few times I've done it live in concert, I've sung it. But Don's a good singer, and he does a Tony Bennett tribute. He does a Sinatra tribute. So I said, you know what? I'm going to let Don do it. And, of course, he was thrilled. You get to premiere a song that no one's heard by me and the great Yip Harburg. So that was the only difference. I keyed him in. But when I do this, it would just be
typically it's
me
you
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it was the challenge, Art, as I mentioned to you earlier, was condensing these stories so you don't because when you tell a story in person, you elaborate more because there's no time crunch. So I just got paring down, and that's the other thing. I literally had to write a script the way I talk. And then
I recognize that.
Yeah. But because I can tell these stories, but like I said, I want to get it down to the essence, but still keep the humor, because it's just fantastic how these things happen.
I tell people all the time, I am not a speechwriter. I hate it. I'd much rather stand up with a card that has maybe a couple of thought starters on it and do my thing.
Sure.
Because I tell people when I write the way I talk, not the way a writer writes.
Same here.
And so, a writer would look at what I write and go, oh, what is this, Well, it's the way I speak.
Yeah.
And that's the way I know.
Yeah.
And you're the same way.
Yeah, well, and when I was doing that Gershwin show years ago with Sylvia and also with Ryan Vandenboom, they had some dialogue that I had to write. So I had to go, okay, how does Sylvia talk? What's the cadence?
Yeah.
How does Ryan talk? Because so when they practiced, they said, wow, this is really easy to say. I said, because I thought of you and how you would say it.
And that's okay if you know the person.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd sit down and say, here's the thought. How would you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because everybody's different.
Absolutely.
Everybody has their own speech patterns and their own
Yeah.
way of doing things.
Yeah, and the trick is to not make it sound like it's been rehearsed, at least for me. I want the stories to sound natural, like I'm just talking to you right now, right in front of you.
So, I've never asked you this before.
Okay?
You know and have played for all of these famous people. You really picked up on Gershwin at a young age. Is there an artist out there that you have never played that you always wanted to play?
Oh, boy. Now, are you thinking more on the composer line, songwriter
Anybody.
line? Anybody? That's a good one. I'll tell you what. I've never played Debussy live.
I wouldn't have even thought of that.
But Debussy had such an influence on Gershwin and a lot of people during his lifetime. And I've been
Well,
listening.
it's interesting because there's a tie.
Yeah. But what the sonorities and his chord choices are still contemporary to my ears. There's nothing dated about it. There's no turn of the century or early 1900s. And knowing how that style, and Ravel had some influence, but Ravel was more controlling of every note he wrote. That's why
Bolero's a perfect example.
Oh, yeah, it would take him forever to get something done because everything had to be perfect. And it sounds that way. It's wonderful, it's exciting, but it's just so controlled.
It's regimented.
Yeah, whereas Debussy is just wide open, and he breathes and uses air. He uses air like musical notes.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
But, because you talk to a lot of pianists, and, one of the first things they'll say is Rachmaninoff. Everybody wants to play Rachmaninoff.
Yeah, and
have you played Rachmaninoff?
not live.
Yeah,
to myself.
No. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I had for a while there. I don't know if they'd still honor it, but Minnesota Orchestra, who I've played with many times, they said, if you ever do a standard repertoire.
Yeah, the Rachmaninoff
or Tchaikovsky or something. You're welcome to come and do that. And I know Albany Symphony would too with David because I have a good reputation with them. But I recently, as I'm going through all of my stuff, as I was to put the show together, I have ideas and jots in notebooks, music notebooks for writing my own piano concerto, and I think I have some pretty good themes to work on. And I just need to sit down and do it. That's what you do. You sit down for a chunk of time and you just write it out.
So the answer to the question would be the one artist that you really want to play is Cole.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because with all the influences I've had, it's going to be an American concerto, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But when you stop and think, the most popular American piano concerto for the last 100 years has been Concerto in F by Gershwin. No, Copland wrote one. All these other American, no one can top it. Never come even close to that. And I'm like, really? In 100 years, we don't have a more, or at least equal to Concerto in F? So that tells you something. And what it says to me is that melody is king.
Yeah.
And if you don't have strong melodies, the audience can't latch on to it. They can get excited about it, but so many of the other contemporary American piano concertos are more angular.
So when it comes down to it, is there anything you'd rather play on the piano that could top Rhapsody?
Well, I would say Concerto in F is a
close
contender.
contender.
Yeah, I say they're neck and neck because Rhapsody was this burst. It's just like bam, and it got everyone's attention, and it's its own unique thing. Mm-hmm. And it was also written under a real time crunch because he had kind of forgotten. He said yes, and so but then immediately on its heels, when he was commissioned to write Concerto in F, he could take a little more time. But the growth, or I don't even know if it was growth, I stop and think if he wouldn't have been pushed into writing Rhapsody in Blue by Paul Whiteman, the band leader, mm-hmm. would those themes have ended up in Concerto in F? And more than likely they would have. because he was ready for something. He had jotted down things, but he I think they originally talked about a jazz piano concerto for that February 12th, 1924 date, but with only about 4 weeks from the time George was reminded he had to give him something for the concert, he said, I can't write a concerto on that quickly.
That was the genius of Gershwin, to be able to put the Rhapsody down on paper in that short a period of time.
Right, but also the form of the Rhapsody was more free form, because remember, he there were blank pages in Whiteman's score. It said "Wait for Nod" at the bottom, So
what did he do? Ad-lib his way through.
Oh yeah, he knew what he was doing, but they didn't have time to write out a whole piano part. The orchestration was more important. So anyway, it's just interesting how the evolution from Rhapsody to concerto was so quick. But then he had to get orchestras to swing and understand these rhythms.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting conundrum for Gershwin.
We're talking to Kevin Cole, and we will be back with more. Kevin's going to be at Chet's Corner Bar tomorrow from 3 to 10 p.m. with Jingle Beers in July, and we'll tell you more about that too later.
Before you hit the road this summer.
I don't want to push it. You had, for anyone in the world, a very serious medical issue a number of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it had to do with your hearing in your brain.
Right.
What's the recovery been like, and how has it impacted you?
Well, I had an acoustic neuroma tumor. It was benign, which is a good thing, and it was larger than the MRI showed. So when the doctors removed it, they were even surprised. I was fortunate. They had never seen a patient not need extensive PT and OT, and I needed neither of those. I don't know how that happened, because usually you need about a year because your balance is off, and there can be paralysis in your face and all kinds of stuff. But they said because of the way my brain is wired musically, it was rerouting, so my symptoms weren't as severe, even though they were annoying. Okay, surgery was done in March of 2018, and because the tumor was so large, it wrapped itself partly around my right hearing nerve, which is the connector between your hearing mechanism and your brain. So they had to sever that. So I have zero hearing in my right ear, and I have about 85% hearing in my left ear. So the big change for me was, you go from stereo to mono. I liken it to like Technicolor to black and white, and you're only hearing half of what you used to hear. So are you going to overcompensate by playing louder? There were just these variables, and I remember because the only concert I kept, because I didn't have to cancel too many, luckily, where it fell in the year, but the only one I kept was 8 weeks to the day of my surgery, and that was with the Albany Symphony, and I was going to be doing really a superhuman feat that had never been done before, playing all 4 piano works of Gershwin for piano orchestra in one evening. And the conductor, David Allen Miller, once I told him I was doing the surgery, and he said, well, I'll just make it an orchestra concert. You don't have to worry. I said, no, I need the goal. If it's one piece you get 2, 3, we'll see what happens. So I didn't even touch the keyboard for the first 3 weeks of recovery. I just would walk by and say, I'm going to get to you. I'm going to get to you. And finally, when I sat down, I started playing a section of the Rhapsody that I know very well, of course. And my main concern was, do I still have the same feeling inside that I did when I could hear with both ears? Or will that connection change, the emotional connection to what I'm doing? And it didn't. I did the concert. I did all 4 works in one night. I did 2 encores, and that kind of sealed the deal. I said, I'm going to be okay.
So I have to ask, because for all practical purposes, you're totally deaf in your right ear.
Yes.
85% in your left ear.
Yes.
When you sit with an orchestra, do you sit with your active ear facing the orchestra so you can hear them?
Well, I have not changed the position of the piano because, as you know, the lid, they'd have to take the lid off and probably mic it. And a lot of places, if you're in a symphony setting, don't want to do that.
Right.
In the old days, my right ear, of course, would hear the piano, project to the room, circle around, and get
Right.
it. And my left ear's to the orchestra. Now the piano does fight for space because it has to boomerang and come around to my left ear. And orchestras, the strings, everything's like, so it's this funnel is just like shaking. But I've been able to, I guess, I don't want to say compensate. There was no compensate.
I would use that word because
Yeah.
I'm not a pianist. I don't play at all.
Yeah.
But it would seem to me that someone of your caliber can feel the music in your fingers as you play it,
Well, that's
even if you don't totally
right.
hear it.
Well, I had to analyze what I've done for decades for the first time in my life. I just did it.
Yeah.
I didn't go,
Right.
oh, how do I do this? And, when you do master classes, they may ask you, but you don't have the time to go really into depth. So when I analyzed what I did and how I do it, I realized that I know how to play my softest softs and loudest louds just by touch, by the weight of my fingers. So there's a physical thing I knew how to do, whether I could hear it or not. So once I realized, I went, oh, so playing isn't 80% audio, 20% physical. It's like 50-50. That kind of took the weight off of me because I knew then I wouldn't overcompensate by playing louder.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back, and then we're going to return to Chet's Bar in Bay City after this.
The time has come to ask Attorney
Here at SGW in studio with me, Kevin Cole, my Gershwinologist. But I have to tell you, and I don't think I've ever said this in front of Kevin. I just warned him that I'm going to embarrass him. I have a lot of friends in my life, a lot of people that I know in my life, and a lot of people that I admire in my life, all for different reasons. I've known Kevin for decades. It's measured in decades.
Yeah.
And admire him, respect his ability on the piano and all of that. But that's not what I respect the most. What I respect the most of Kevin Cole is his dedication to family, his dedication to his community, to his hometown. Because understand, ladies and gentlemen, he is an international artist by any measurement who could be off doing his thing all around the world, but he has chosen to come home, chosen to give back to the community. And that is a true tribute to an individual.
Thank you, Art. Thank you.
And it is why I admire him the way I admire him. There needs to be more Kevin Coles in the world. Not on the piano, but... Whoops. Stop.
Hey.
Just a moment here. Yeah, we'll get a little...
I feel like I'm at Chet's already. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's do it again. There we
Hey, there we go. How you doing tonight? Tip your bartender, would
So,
you?
so getting back to the light side,
Yeah.
Jingle Beers in July is a takeoff on what you do at Christmas time.
Yes.
And it's going to be tomorrow, 3 to 10 p.m. at Chet's Corner Bar. So what's the day like? I mean, that's 7 hours. I mean, that's short because usually your Christmas one goes into the middle of the night.
It can. Well, I always start out usually playing Sleigh Ride, my razzle-dazzle arrangement of that, get people in the mood. But as I mentioned earlier, this songbook, I added 20 more pop, rock, Broadway songs to the songbook this year. So you're going to have some Elton John, some Billy Joel, some Jerry Lee Lewis. I mean, there's going to be really a mixed bag, so it won't be all Christmas. And I have to say, after doing the first one, which was, who knew, that the sense of community that happens at Chet's, everyone just singing and having a great time. And I don't know, there are no Scrooges. It's just a positive thing.
Here's the thing about it that I think makes it a success. You're having a good time.
Yes.
And if you're having a good time,
Yeah.
we're all having a good time.
True. I just remember as a kid, we'd gather around the piano, whether it was me playing, my dad, an aunt, and it's the end of a week, and it might have been a good week or a bad week, and we'd sing, or somebody else would play, and it didn't matter if you had a good voice or not. You just said, okay, I got through that week, I'm going to get through the next one.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about at Chet's Corner Bar.
All right. Jingle Beers in July.
Yep.
Kevin Cole at the piano from 3 to 10 p.m. with some guests.
Yep, I'm going to have a few little breaks.
And Chet's Corner Bar at 1001 South Madison Avenue in Bay City. No cover charge, but if you want a table